They say that blood is thicker than water, but that's not the whole saying. The full phrase is, the blood of the covenant is thicker than the water of the womb. It means the bonds we choose, the people who walk beside us in truth and kindness, can be stronger than the ones we are born into. This is the hardest part of my estrangement story to tell. It's about my siblings, the ones I thought would walk through life with me, and how that story has changed. I decided to spin the garden chairs around so you'd have something to look at other than the undone gardens that we're building. I mean, it's going to be many years long project as we develop the gardens around the pond, but since I'm going to be talking about sibling estrangement, I thought I'd give you something better to look at. And my siblings, when we all started out, I thought that we got along okay, especially us three in the middle. There's 5 siblings. My older brother was born in Calgary, and they moved out to the farm when they were pregnant with me, and that was 4 years later. Excuse me while I get past his bum. I might have company, and he might be laying right on top of my notes, so this ought to be interesting. I do have some bullet points here to keep me sort of on track. Anyway, so they decided it was Dad's dream to move out to the country, and Mom hated it, and we ended up moving out when they were pregnant with me, so they've had that farm for 60 years. And my elder brother and I, we really didn't have a relationship. I was always the annoying sister, right? He'd be going to youth group. Mom would make him take me along, so there I was. He's trying to be all cool in front of the girls he's had crushes on, but he's dragging along a much younger sister, and this just, I felt bad for him. I really, really did. And as with all 5 of us kids, we got out of that home as fast as we could. He left at 17 and bebopped wherever he went and ended up getting himself married, lived out in BC. He's lived out in Winnipeg, and that's where he stays right now. And I had gone to visit him. Each place where he lived in, I had made trips out to visit them there. And as I was sitting down to think about it, he has never in all these decades ever been to a home of mine. Now, he drives past frequently to get to the farm, and I lived along the Highway 2, which is the corridor he would travel on, and I could pretty much be on the deck and wave to the highway as he drove past, but never ever did they ever come visit me in my home. We just didn't have that kind of relationship. And the last time I saw him, we had gone out to Newfoundland to help my son with a court hearing. It was in winter, and we made special arrangements to, when we were flying back, to do a layover in Winnipeg. And we visited with him and heard about their plans, because at that point we knew that our youngest sister was pregnant, and they had decided that God had told them that they were getting this child, and they gave all their plans for this. They were not going to let Jasmine know who her birth mother was. They were going to put a hedge of protection around her and keep it all this big secret. And at that point, Owen and I were like, poor kid, what a life she's going to have, and what a horrible position to put the rest of us family in, to have to keep lying to this child. And that's kind of where we left it, because at that point we didn't know what the future was holding for all of us. My sister ended up in a psych hospital. She was pregnant, and the doctor was trying to have one of us be her guardian. And all of us decided we didn't want that. That was just a terrible thing to do, because how do you make decisions for somebody when you don't even live anywhere near her? And good luck with that, because to me that seems like an hellacious job to do. And even then, they were going to take this child in because God said. And so then they flew back home. In the meantime, little sister got herself married. Her husband then could be guardian. So she pulled a quick one on the psych hospital, the psych doctor, and whatnot. And after the child was born, my two siblings in the middle reported things to social services. We did not. And social services found Jasmine in the hospital, apprehended her, and then came looking for placement. And because little sister and her husband were not going to sign over this baby, then it would become a court thing and a social services thing for the next almost 3 years. Now, because she didn't sign over the baby, well, then social services had to kick in with facilitating visitations, and it was 3 times a week. It was court ordered. And so then they're looking to place Jasmine with one of her family, so it's called kinship care. They start there, and if they can't do kinship care, then it's foster care, because they do prefer that children go with family somehow. So I had discussed it with Owen. Owen was in agreement that we would be willing to take Jasmine in. Now, my brother and his wife in Winnipeg also wanted to take Jasmine in. My sister in the crow's nest, she absolutely did not want to take the child in because she just had freedom and didn't want to do it. And my younger brother in Red Deer was freaked because his wife wanted to do it. He did not, because he just saw the end of his marriage, the end of their life. Financially, they couldn't swing it, and he just thought if she did it, then their whole life will blow up. So he was telling me about how panicked he was, and that's how it stood when social services made their decision. They did a conference call with all us siblings and let everybody know that they were going to place Jasmine in our home. And that's the last conversation I've had with my brother in Winnipeg, because we were then evil. We were working in cahoots with social services. We were being sneaky and tricky. I was a snake in the grass. I stole their child from them. She's crying on the phone. My brother is consoling her on the phone, and they're just saying the most horrible things about me. And for the next, up until the adoption, they were working with social services to try to get Jasmine moved over to them as soon as possible. Now, it looked like that was how things were working in social services as well, because we ended up getting on there, becoming their target, because we asked, I guess, too many questions. We had read I think it's 790 some page document that governs how they are supposed to run things, and when they weren't, and we were calling them on it, well, they did not like it. And then they tried to find everything and anything wrong they could with us, and my sister in the crow's nest was helping them. We find out all of this because we FOIP'd the documents, which is where you put in for a request to read your files. And we did several times, and we saw everything that they were doing behind the scenes and, subversively. And social services was the caseworkers they were aiming for. They seemed to quite like my brother and his wife, the ordained minister at Winnipeg. And it was kind of leaning that way. They didn't really care that Jasmine would have been bonded to us for, almost 3 years when they pulled this. That was the plan. But then my brother broke the law, and his wife got really pissed and made him confess to our mother. Well, this confession to our mother, she spread to the rest of the family. I told social services, and they nicked that family out right away. And so suddenly we became the plan, the only plan there ever was, and suddenly they're cooperating with the adoption to us. And then further along the line, my brother did some other horrifying thing in the eyes of his wife, that she made him again confess to our mother, and it is a strange family. So that's kind of where it ends with him. They'd come out to the farm. I was never included. I was never invited. He has never requested to see Jasmine, who was supposed to be their child. They've never met. It's been almost 10 years since I've had anything to do with my eldest brother. Now, I will take and deal with my youngest sister separately, because because she is the birth mother of Jasmine. It's again a different piece of a story. It's got too many pieces, and this video would be too huge. If I added her in there, it'll be a separate video. Next is my sister in the crow's nest. She's got her master's in counseling. She counsels children. And up until 2014, I thought we were close. And you know what? I was talking with Owen, trying to figure out the timeline, because things just went weird, and I just didn't see how all the pieces were going, because it was so stressful at the time. But I'm sure that we were close. The three of us were close, especially after adulthood. As kids, you're whatever kids sharing rooms, and you get annoying. But after adulthood, I really thought my sister and I and my little brother were close, and I believe that we were. The last one to fall away was my brother, but my sister, we were good until 2014. In 2012, we had bought that fancy big house. We threw that big old Christmas party with 60 people in as a surprise to everybody. We thought it was going to be a whole lot of fun. It ended up kind of crashing and burning in some of the minds of some of the guests, including my parents. But at the time, we had my sister and her husband and dog over for the night. They seemed to have loved the visit. They were effusive in their praise, the hugs, and this is a wonderful visit. When they left the next day, didn't feel any different. The following year was our wedding year. And I had my sister as my matron of honor. Oh my God. Oh, thanks for joining. So I had my sister as matron of honor, and she was very kind and seemed to be very helpful. My brother at that point was very close to both Owen and I. We had a lot of fun preparing. I sang with my two middle siblings in our wedding, or we tried to anyway. It was fun, let's just say that. And that year was okay with us. And so then trying to figure out what happened, we're not sure. So the year after, so in 2014, it was again our year to do the Christmas party, the family Christmas party, family friend, whatever. And I usually start the process somewhere in September, just to get the date on the calendar. We usually do it 2 weeks early before Christmas, just so that everybody else can kind of do this Christmas party, get it out of the way, because every family has, the whole month is booked up with different members of the family. If you got divorced families, well, suddenly you have 4 family Christmases and all that kind of stuff happening. So we try to get this out of the way early. And so I'm putting out the information for September, and I get a letter from my sister in the crow's nest. She says, and I don't know what happened between the wedding and that fall. I never did find out in all these years, but she said that her and her husband were miserable at our Christmas party, that we had delegated them to the basement and treated them horribly, that they would not be coming to any more Christmas parties as long as it's just a Solent Christmas party, which means my husband's family cannot be included in our family Christmas party. This is a counselor saying this, who deals all the time with blended families. She's saying that she will not be coming, and that it had to be a Solent event, and that's it. And of course I'm writing back, writing. And I'm like, my husband's family is my family. We are not going to host 2 separate families, one for his family, one for my family, just to keep my sister happy. That it's a lot of work to even host one, and we will only do one. But I said, if she wanted a strictly Solent event, she could certainly have it at her place in the crow's nest. My brother could have it at his place in Red Deer, or my parents could have it at their place at the farm, and we would be happy to attend. But that our family Christmas will be a family Christmas. Well, boy, oh boy, she complained about how harsh I was, how terrible I was, how terribly I treated her. It's like, I don't know where this is all coming from. But then I tried putting out the olive branches going, I could have said things nicer. Can we meet? Can we meet in the middle? Can we talk about these things? And no, there was no meeting in the middle. I had to come all the way because I was wrong. She was right. Yeah. And yeah, my parents didn't come to that one either. Shortly after that, we were flying out to Newfoundland to do a court to support my son in a court hearing for visitation with his baby, because the mom had taken her back to Newfoundland. And in the midst of all that mess, and it was a snowstorm, and it was flights being delayed and all that kind of stuff, in there, we get a call from Owen's best friend's sister, because my sister had cold called her because didn't have her phone number, cold called her to trash me, to warn Owen's sister of the terrible person I was, the big mistake that my husband did in marrying me. And the sister's like, I don't know what's going on here. What is going on, basically? And she could tell, because she said she's dealt with women like this before. She's a professor in a university. That the soft, tentative beginning of a conversation that was followed up with the warnings and trashing of me, she'd seen and heard this before. So she called Owen, and Owen he was floored, didn't know what was going on. He just thought it was sisters fighting, sisters spatting, and we would get over it. But how do you get over somebody trying to trash your marriage? And I didn't know where this was coming from. And right then I was handling things with my son. And we were then flying to that last visit where we dipped in to Winnipeg with my eldest brother. And then we were flying home. And when we got home, my sister called my husband and proceeded to warn him about his marriage to me and how he made the big mistake and what a terrible person I was, basically trashing me. Trying to break up my marriage. And this would have been my 4th marriage. And Owen says that the one regret he has is not telling her to F off right then. He just thought sisters fighting and squabbling. And there was no coming back for any of that. There is no explanation one can give. And she never did give an explanation. There was never one as to what she was doing, what she was trying to pull. And all I could think of was she was perfectly happy with me when I was falling on my face because I made terrible marriages. I was always making mistakes. I was always pulling myself up. I was getting through a divorce. And she was able to, pat me on the head and talk me through this thing. And I was basically the loser in the family amongst the 3, in the middle anyway. And then I met Owen and my life started getting better. And it was when my life started getting better that she tried to trash my life, to wreck the supports around me, because she also got closer and closer with my eldest daughter. Now, before then, they really didn't have much of a relationship. But when she started trying to wreck my marriage, she was also getting really close with my daughter, and my daughter just sucked right into it because my sister is very funny and smart and can be kind and just manipulative. And my daughter just adores her now, and it's very hard for me to watch, right? And that's really all I can do is watch because this is their relationship, and I wish it were different, but it is what it is there. 2015, Jasmine comes into our life, and all that year, my sister is trying to undermine our relationship. She got onto a family conference call where she tells social services and my family that I did not want my children even. Why should I be allowed to have Jasmine? Because she wanted my brother in Winnipeg to have her. So undermining. And as far as, for me, unless we have, I don't even know if there's a way back from all of this. Because she has never talked about it. It's been a decade almost, and it's never been addressed. And my brother and her became very, very close, and I'm the one on the outside. And let's see, my brother. Him and I were, again, always close. I told him things I never told anybody. When I was first pregnant, when I was 17, he's the one I told. He hated that information, right? But we'd always talk to each other. And over the years, the decades, we would talk about all our troubles. And he would tell me about his life and his marriage and the things that upset him very, very much, including his wife was going to leave him. When the youngest was an adult, she was going to leave and get the marriage annulled, and all his feelings in the matter. And in there came the arrival of Jasmine and his wife wanting to take this baby in, and he knows that his marriage was all not good, not healthy, and she was going to quit work, and they would have lost everything because their home that they had to buy, you see, that fancy big house, the next year she demanded also a big house. And so they leveraged everything and bought this big house. And then she dropped her FTE. And then she was going to quit her job if Jasmine was placed with them. So he was just in a great big panic because his world was going to blow up. And so when we agreed to take Jasmine in, he was the only one that was relieved. He was very happy to have Jasmine placed with us. He had said that he was going to help out where he could. He was, babysitting, whatever we needed. None of that ever happened much, but yeah, he was very, very relieved. So we were very close in there. I remember over the years, there was a time when he was living on a farm close to the parents. It was a pig farm, and he was working there, and he gave them a gift of half a pork, which is what he was given as a bonus from work. And about a year later, he was to a point of starving. He was literally starving, hungry. He'd gone to the parents and asked if he could have just some of that pork from their freezer, and they were not going to, they said he'd have to buy it from them. Well, he had no money. He was starving. So I went grocery shopping and brought him bags and bags of groceries. Hey, Zook. Oh. Bags of groceries. And that was kind of like how our relationship was, right? When I had to leave my second husband, he was there to help protect and make sure I got out of there safely as well. And so I don't even know which relationship I'm the saddest about, my brother or my sister. I had noticed as the years went by that he was a part of the group that I was shunned from. He kept going to these events, and he never ever told me about these events. And I'm like, put a call through to him going, can we have a discussion? And this was in 2022. And he came to my house, and I'm like, could you tell what's going on with this shunning? Why is this happening to me, that I'm not included in any events? The families come from Winnipeg, from Uganda, from anywhere, and they have parties at the farm or family reunions, and I am never ever included. Well, he didn't really have a good answer, but he basically said everybody was uncomfortable with me now. That included his wife. His wife was now uncomfortable with us because you know how much Catholicism means so much to her. And then something must have been said at that last party that upset her. And of course, Owen and I are trying to figure out what on earth, because their family had a bad experience with the Catholic Church. The priests were trying to shake down their dad, who owned a grocery store, for more money, because they were watching how much food was going through in the grocery carts, and they were demanding more money in the coffers. And so they had that problem. It was nothing personal to my brother's wife. She's happy with the church, with the Catholic Church. It's fine. I mean, I don't care. Religion isn't a deep thing in my life. Owen is a lapsed Catholic. He might be agnostic at best. My brother is evangelical. His wife is Catholic, and if you know anything about those two groups, each group thinks that the others are going to hell. And Mom talks about it all the time, about how bad Catholicism and how they worship Mary, and on it goes. I'm the last of all the siblings. I'm the least giving two hoots about her Catholicism, but that is where my brother went. So he lobbed her discomfort with us in the mix of everything else of why we should be shunned from the family. So I sent a message to her because she had wanted to go work at the gym with me, and I'm like, could you tell me about what happened? Because maybe we could deal about it. Maybe we can apologize if something was said badly. I mean, she refused to tell me what happened. So we got lobbed a bomb, and we don't know information. She just won't talk about it. And that was it until Dad, in 2023, Law was almost dying, got the call to the hospital bed. He was kind and loving to me. And then I left. I did not visit with the family in the waiting room because I hadn't seen them in years, and that was just too emotionally overwhelming for me. And so I sent a message to my brother beginning of July. Hello, right? Well, that texting string went horribly awful. He told me that Dad didn't mean a thing he said to me. Nothing nice. He didn't remember. He shot me down as a nurse because I should know better. He said how horrible and awful I was to my parents starting 10 years before, and that would have been at that party. He said I should piss or get off. It was just, I couldn't barely recognize my brother in what was happening here. Found out that he was copying, pasting anything I said to him, and he was sending it to my sister in the crow's nest, and they were having a sideways conversation in the middle of our conversation, and I found this out when he accidentally copy and pasted back to me. He showed me these, in the middle of our texting, he shows me this, these two pictures of a cup. And I recognized the outside of the house, and it was my sister drinking out of a cup, and it just said, I'll show you the pictures of the cup. So I knew that she was involved in our conversation. He also said that all this shunning is just in my head, right? That I'm the one with the problem. I'm the loon in the family. Everybody's fine. They're just horrified that I feel shunned. And I'm thinking, feel shunned? You've never invited me to anything, and you won't come to any invitation I ever send for 8 years at that point. And yeah, shunned is a good word. Ostracized. Pick a noun. Verb. So he said he guaranteed that 3 of my siblings and my parents would make themselves available to meet with my counselor, because I was in counseling at the time, because this is all just very painful. He sent a letter off to my parents requesting, not that group mobbing, I didn't call it that, but the group I was not willing to do, but I was willing to do counseling sessions with each one separately, including my parents. And I asked them to let me know if they were actually meaning to do this, and I received no reply. And chances are, well, I talked to my little sister, she didn't know a darn thing about it, and chances are neither did my brother in Winnipeg. Sister probably would have bounced in there because she can talk circles around everybody. And I talked to my counselor, and he said he doesn't do that because it usually ends up as a mob of a bunch of them against one. So he wouldn't do something like that. It's not a healthy thing to do. So here I am. As I said, I don't know if there's a way to come back from all this after all this time. I have zero trust in any of my siblings anymore, certainly not my parents. To make any way back to each other would require, what do they call it? Important conversations, two-way conversations, and not with a group of them against one of me. That will never work, because you can imagine what that would be like. I don't trust my sister in the crow's nest at all anymore. To undermine my marriage, try to wreck my relationship with my daughter. There was a time where Owen and I wanted to adopt an older child. We'd seen a Wednesday's Child ads, and we had plenty of love and stuff to give. So we were looking at that, and we went and took some courses and eventually discussed it with my children. My son was all for it. My daughter was so upset. She gave me the silent treatment for 2 weeks, even at the thought of us adopting, let's say, a 12-year-old. because she felt like I was replacing her, which had nothing to do with anything, but that was in her head. Later, and anyway, my sister knew all about that because at that point we were talking. So flash forward to just before that family conference where we were being told that Jasmine was going to be placed with us. I had done my one and only workout with my daughter 2 hours before that meeting. And I casually let her know that this meeting was happening. Jasmine was being placed. Social services was going to let us know which family member Jasmine was going to be placed at. I said Owen and I decided to agree to do it if they wanted. I know that Gordon wanted to in Winnipeg. And I said, do you have any problem with this, to my daughter because of what happened before? And she said, no, she's fine with it. And she thanked me for telling her. During that family conference, my sister bowed out of the conversation as soon as they said that it was us, and then Gordon and his wife were having a fit. Little brother's staying on the line. Sister in the crow's nest gets off the line and immediately contacts my daughter. My daughter, who's already feeling anxious and upset, and her auntie knows this, and she tries undermining me. Starts telling my daughter that I am the wicked woman in the the Solomon story, where you're cutting the baby in half and all that kind of stuff. And later when I talked to my daughter, I said, what if we had not worked out together 2 hours before we found out Jasmine was being placed with us? What would you have done? And my daughter told me she would have thrown me away too. Now, since then, daughter and I have been in daughter and I did couples counseling, her and I, and we worked through a whole bunch of stuff. And I did tell her how it felt that she was going to throw me away too. She said she has changed since then, that she would never do something like that now. I said, but that's in my head, right? My siblings tossed me away. My daughter had threatened it. I can't work with, trying to even deal with anything with the siblings anymore. Nothing has changed there. The parents have cut me out of the wills, taken me out of being agent on their personal directives. It is my sister in the crow's nest now. And all I think is I've been blessed with being removed, actually, because that is going to be a hot mess when it happens. Sister in the crow's nest doesn't know at all what she's doing, as was shown during that time when Dad was in the hospital. She didn't have a clue. She just panicked. But they didn't want my help. And I worked in long-term care for 30 years. They didn't want my help. So I get to watch from the outside, and that will be a blessing in the long run. Since that event with Dad 2 years ago and those texts with my brother, I've spent 2 years working on healing again, because before that event at the hospital, I had thought I had healed a lot, and going back to the well at the hospital kind of made things fresh again, especially after my brother let me know that my father supposedly lied to me on his deathbed, or didn't know what he was saying. And then after they got out of the hospital, they went directly to the lawyers to have me removed for everything. And my brother was quite fine and smug letting me know all this. So then, yeah, here we sit. I look for sisters in my friends, my sister Bernie, my sister Lynn, sister Joe. I even have a sister Bev. Women that love me, who think I'm great, who have been there for me for decades. Lavinia is my adopted mom. I am trying to fill spots in my life where there are holes, and just healing from it all, because there's no going back. It's going forward, accepting the way things are. if my brother wants to get a relationship going again, he's going to have essential conversations, and he's going to have be sober when he does so, because he's an alcoholic, if he wants to. But in my family, with him, I've always had to reach out to my brother all the time, ever since, always. If I wanted to have a conversation, I'd have to phone him or text him. He never ever called, ever. It was kind of like a one-way reaching out. He was always happy to get together and happy to have us pop by, but he never initiated anything. So in this case, if he wants to have a relationship, he's going to have to reach out, because I'm done with this, and I'm moving on. I am working through stuff, and in time, we'll just see how it goes, because life is a mystery, and it's a story that each page, each chapter turns over, and you just don't know what the next year is going to be, next 5 years are going to be. You just never know. And this video is just going on and on and on, and I'm so sorry. So I just thought I would put this video on here, because I'm not the only one that have problems with siblings. And I guess part of why we as a family are making this channel, but especially that I'm working on this channel, is to get some community, to get some more sisters, I think. Although I am in short supply of brothers, so I'll be on the lookout for a brother too, and hopefully I'll find one. And I'm going to make the next video a little bit more fun than this one. This is just a heavy chunk, because just to put out there what is going on in life out here on this beautiful place, the place of healing, the place of building gardens, getting to know horses, raising our Jasmine, who is doing well. And in a couple videos, I'll address Jasmine's birth mother. But yeah, this is Annette from Carpe Omnia after 60. And I don't know what else to say except see you around. I've learned that reconciliation can't happen without truth, and truth can't exist without willingness. So I'm learning to live in reality, to love the people who choose to show up, to stop going back to the well that keeps running dry, and to accept that sometimes family isn't made by blood, it's made by grace. The blood of the covenant really is stronger than the water of the womb. In my next video, I'll share the most complex part of this story about my youngest sister, Jasmine's birth mother. Her chapter carries extra layers of pain, love, and meaning that deserve their own space to unfold. We are in the most beautiful season of the year at our place. It's the changing of the larches. The tamaracks turn this lovely golden yellow color, and it's just gorgeous. And I found an ending to these videos from, of all places, a Buddhism site. And it says that one of the hardest truths in life is knowing when to walk away. We hold on to people, relationships, and situations long after they've stopped giving us love, respect, or growth, hoping they'll change, hoping things will return to what they once were. But here's the truth. You can't revive what's already dead. You can water a flower all you want, but if its roots are gone, it will never bloom again. Staying in places that no longer nurture your soul only drains your energy, your peace, and your happiness. Walking away isn't weakness, it's wisdom. It's the moment you finally choose yourself over pain. Protect your heart, value your peace. Trust that endings create space for new beginnings. Because sometimes the most loving thing you can do for yourself is to stop watering the dead flower and plant seeds where growth is still possible. I'm Annette. This is Carpe Omnia after 60. And thank you so much for joining us in this journey through estrangement. And hope to see you on our next video. If you could like and subscribe, I would just be totally thankful.